Yes, hello, namaste everybody. Welcome to this presentation on family constellation. I'm Aarti Akula. जे लोक मला ओळखत नाही, माझं नाव आरती आहे आणि the presentation is going to be done by Smita Wankhade. Yes, family constellation is a beautiful modality and a fantastic healing tool. And so I'm very, very grateful for Smita, who is a trained therapist in family constellation, for carrying out this presentation for us. Smita has been practicing for more than, I think, 15 years plus. She's been practicing in Nasik. Both of us are past life regression therapists. We trained under Dr. Newton and Dr. Lakshmi. And Smita has trained under them for family constellation also. Without going into, there is a lot I can tell her, talk about Smita, but without going into too much of details, just that I'm thankful for her that she's here, and I will simply hand it over to her. And Smita, you can begin the presentation.
Yeah. All right. I'll just connect this.
Yeah.
Speaker. Just give me a moment.
No, it's missing.
Where am I? Okay. The Bluetooth is not getting connected, so it's okay. Am I audible? Am I clear? I wanted the Bluetooth, the speaker, this thing, because it would make it more clear actually.
Yes, ma'am, you're absolutely loud and clear.
I'm loud and clear? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So a very good afternoon to everyone. Hi. I can see many familiar faces. And first of all, I want to thank you, Aarti. Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Aarti and Anandi for inviting me for this session. And the moment Aarti put it on the group that, why don't you start, Smita, let's have some sessions. And I said, okay, family constellation. And after that, when I started preparing for this talk, it was really, really tough for me. You know why? Because family constellation कुछ बात करने की चीज नहीं है उसमें. It is all practical work. So for the first time, my dear friends, let me admit that I have paper in front of me to see to it that I don't miss out on anything. Otherwise, I always flow with my talk. Okay, so yes, family constellation and how did I reach here? So initially, about more than 15 years back, I started with Reiki, and then there was past life regression, and then there was all this journey, doing all the trainings, also breath work, inner child work, and then came family constellation. Because as a therapist, Aarti also has been such a wonderful therapist, and all the therapists who go in for one modality, they realize and they come to me that I need some more tool, and I need some more tool, and I need some more tool. So this need of having more and more tools has led this journey to come to family constellation. When I witnessed constellations for the first time, I was like, what is this happening? Because it is so surprising as to what happens in the group when you're actually doing this constellation that no words are needed. But I'm really sorry that for me to take a constellation now on this setup is really difficult. We can do it sometime when we are in together in person, when the situation permits us. So here I am trying to talk about constellation.
I can't see you, madam. What should I do?
Savita, we can see you, no worries. On the phone, you will see only few people. You won't be able to see everybody.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you hear her?
Yes, I can.
It will pop up in a bit. The spaces will keep changing. It'll come.
Wait, it will come.
Okay.
No,
Thank you.
hearing का problem है या see का problem?
No, no, it's
No,
done.
No, I think you can pin Smita ma'am, so that only she will be constant on the screen.
yeah.
But we need to see it. Yes, Smita, go ahead. It's good.
Yeah. Okay.
आरती मैम,
Yes, Meena.
हाँ हिंदी में बोल सकते हो क्या?
इंग्लिश और मराठी मिक्स बात करेंगे.
चलेगा चलेगा चलेगा.
All
ओके
right.
ओके.
तो family constellation क्या है? What is family constellation? Family constellation is simply a very, 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 very powerful tool. What does this tool do? It helps us to see in less time what is happening in the family and what is the root cause of a particular issue. Is it as simple as that? Yeah, actually it is when we are all there in person. So you know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to actually describe to you something which is undescribable. Okay. So कारण कॉन्स्टलेशन मध्ये जे काम होतं ना ते असं बोलून आपल्याला सांगताच नाही येत, ते फक्त बघावं लागतं. सो येस, कॉन्स्टलेशन हे अतिशय पॉवरफुल टूल आहे ज्याच्यानी आपल्याला आपल्या फॅमिलीच्या डायनॅमिक्स मध्ये काय होतंय आणि आपल्याला जो काही त्रास होतोय त्याचं मूळ कारण काय आहे ह्याच्याकडे आपण खूप पटकन कमी वेळामध्ये जाऊ शकतो इन अ कॉन्स्टलेशन. ओके, नाउ right from the beginning, I'm going to give you lots of examples so that you'll understand. Okay, so I was doing the constellation of a person who would not talk more or who was not very expressive or who felt that her heart was closed. Okay, and the moment I was doing the constellation, when she stepped up for her session, I had this feeling that somebody is missing and somebody is not there. So I asked her, was there a past lover? So she actually said yes, and she said that it was not a two-way affair. See, it was not even a two-way affair. Okay, it was only that he liked her and he wanted to be with her, and then he went in an accident and he passed away. He went on to the other side in an accident. So that was affecting her. Maybe there was a wee bit of a guilt that she was carrying. So आपल्या आयुष्यामध्ये जे काही घडत असतं किंवा फक्त आपल्या आयुष्यामध्ये नाही, आपल्या पेरेंट्सच्या लाईफमध्ये, त्यांच्या पेरेंट्सच्या लाईफमध्ये, त्यांच्या पेरेंट्सच्या लाईफमध्ये असं 7 जनरेशन्स मध्ये जे काही घडत असतं आणि ज्याला आपण रेकग्निशन देत नाही, ज्याच्याकडे आपण बघायलाच तयार नसतो किंवा जे आपण विसरून गेलेलो असतो, ते सगळं पुढच्या जनरेशन्स मध्ये येत असतं. म्हणजे इन सिम्पल वर्ड्स दॅट आपल्याला सगळ्यांना हा सिद्धांत माहितीये की पिंडी ते ब्रह्मांडी, व्हॉट इज इन द मायक्रो इज इन द मॅक्रो. ओके, सो ऑल्सो everything around us and every person around us is there in what we call as the knowing field. Knowing field म्हणजे काय की we are all one. There is interconnectedness between us and everything, and because there is interconnectedness between us and everyone else, that is the reason why we are able to understand or feel what is happening in someone else's life, in someone else's mind, in someone else's maybe previous generations. We can understand that when we are doing these family constellation sessions. Constellation म्हणजे काय? Constellation म्हणजे एक तारांचा समूह जो विशिष्ट प्रकारे त्याचं स्थान असतात. So also in a constellation, जेव्हा आपण constellation करतो family साठी, तेव्हा at that time what we simply do is we call the people who are there, the members who are there, to represent the person on whom the constellation is going to be done. They represent the family members of that person, and then they are made to stand in a particular way, and when they stand in a particular way, then the person for whom we are doing the session, actually we ask that person to take a seat and just observe. And then when that observation starts, then when all those members members come into the knowing field of that person's family, at that time there are a lot of secrets of the family. There are a lot of happenings in a family that start coming out. It is the intention of the person who is doing it. It is the intention of the client for whom the constellation is being set. And it is the intention of the knowing field to heal everything. Because of that, we are able to easily understand what is happening in the family. A simple example is that if I was once doing a session for a person, and the representative of that person in the constellation was constantly looking down. And when the person was looking down, I asked her whether there has been an abortion or a sudden death. And there was a child who had passed away early, and that child was not known. It was a secret. The other siblings did not even know that we had a sister who existed. Now, when the family, when you go through the process then, and when you look at that person who is dead, when you look at that person with whom the tragedy has happened, or when you look at that event with love, okay, with love is most important at that time. And then we have to say certain healing sentences. At that time, there is a total shift that happens. Whatever the representatives were feeling in that group, in that constellation, those emotions will not be felt. For example, people say that I feel as if a burden is off my shoulders, or I feel as if something was putting me down and it has just left. I'm feeling very light. I'm feeling very joyful. So, people immediately, those who are representing the family members, they immediately find changes in their energies, so that shows that the healing has happened. म्हणजे आता मराठीत सांगते, जेव्हा आपण कॉन्स्टलेशन सेटअप करतो तेव्हा आपण काय करतो, तर एखादी व्यक्ती ज्याच्यासाठी आपण हे सेशन करत आहोत, त्या व्यक्तीच्या फॅमिली मेंबर्सला आपण त्या कॉन्स्टलेशन मध्ये उभं करतो आणि एका विशिष्ट प्रकारे उभं करतो. आणि त्या विशिष्ट प्रकारे उभं केल्यानंतर त्या व्यक्तींना, ज्यांनी त्या क्लायंटला कधी पाहिलेलं नसतं, ज्यांना त्या क्लायंटची स्टोरी माहित नसते, पण त्या व्यक्तींना त्यांच्या फॅमिलीच्या मेंबर्स सारखं वाटायला लागतं, किंवा बोलायची इच्छा होते, किंवा सडनली कुणाचा तरी राग येतो, किंवा सडनली कोणीतरी बाहेर बघायला लागतं. सो व्हेन दॅट थिंग इज हॅपनिंग, दॅट त्यांना समजायला लागतं की या फॅमिलीमध्ये काय होतंय. आणि मग जेव्हा आपण पुढे ती प्रोसेस नेऊन आणि हिलिंग करतो त्या प्रोसेसमधनं, तेव्हा जे मेंबर्स तिथे उभे असतात त्या फॅमिलीसाठी, दे स्टार्ट फीलिंग लाईट. त्यांना कुठेतरी काहीतरी हिलिंग झाल्याची जाणवतं, कुठेतरी काहीतरी हलकेपणा वाटायला लागतो, कुठेतरी काहीतरी वजन आहे ते निघून गेलेलं आहे असं वाटायला लागतं. ओके, सो कॉन्स्टलेशन इज अ व्हेरी व्हेरी पॉवरफुल प्रोसेस. आणि त्याचं मूळ तत्व काय आहे, प्रिन्सिपल काय आहे, इंटरकनेक्टेडनेस. की आपण सगळे, श्रीकृष्णाने आपल्याला सांगितलेलं आहे की आपण सगळे एक आहोत. बट डू वी अंडरस्टँड, डू वी नो व्हॉट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ वी आर ऑल वन? नो, वी रेअरली डू, or we are always trying to understand what it exactly is. But when you use this method, you understand that, wow, how is it पॉसिबल. हे जेव्हा उद्गार निघतात ना, की कसं तुला माहिती की हे असं होतं, देन वी टोटली जैसे कोई पर्दा उठ गया है हमारे आंखों के सामने से, एंड वी फील दैट yes, we are all interconnected and we know everything. Deep inside we know everything. एक constellation करत होते मी, आणि त्या constellation मध्ये there was this person who used to feel very sad and guilty, as if he's seeing something very torturous in front of him. Okay, and he did not know, and he had not seen any such incident in this life. And suddenly when when we did the constellation for him, he realized that it was his brother who had seen an accident happen, and it was a very it was a fatal accident, and he had seen death in front of his eyes, which had made him very sad and very guilty that he could not do anything though he was there. Okay, so that guilt and that sadness which the family member was feeling, this man, it was transferred to him, and he was feeling it. So we are all interconnected, and everywhere around us there is a knowing field always. ही knowing field आपल्या आजूबाजूला असते म्हणजे काय असतं, म्हणजे सगळीकडे आपले व्हायब्रेशन्स पास्ट प्रेझेंट इवन फ्युचरचे पण कधी कधी असतात. I'll give you a simple example. My brother-in-law passed away early, and the day my brother-in-law passed away, I was filling, he passed away at about 12 in the night, and that day I was filling water in the matka. It was the month of May, and suddenly the entire matka with the whole water, I was just shifting it, and purna mat padla, and that the water fell. So what is water? Water is jiv. So when these kind of incidences also happen, what is happening is knowing field मध्ये असतात ते आपल्या, आणि त्याच्यामुळे आपल्याला काहीतरी संकेत ते देत असतात, किंवा काहीतरी आपल्याला जाणीव करून देत असतात, काहीतरी आपल्याला आधीच सांगत असतात मे बी, किंवा आधी घडलेलं काहीतरी सांगत असतात. Till here clear? I'm going very systematically point wise because there's no flow as such in this. आता आणि प्रश्न असतील ते लिहून ठेवा. मी प्रश्न उत्तरांना भरपूर वेळ देणार आहे, because I believe in satisfying each and every doubt of yours. So आता हे जे एनर्जी असते, एनर्जी कुठल्याही फॅमिली मधली वरून अशी खाली येत असते. Now, for example, the grandparents, and then the grandparents give birth to the parents. The parents accept the gift of life that they have been given. And then the parents give birth to the children. The children are the acceptors. मराठीमध्ये सांगते की आपले जे पेरेंट्स असतात, ग्रँडपेरेंट्स असतात, ते आपल्या पेरेंट्सला जन्म देतात. दे आर द गिवर्स. ओके, आपले पेरेंट्स घेणारे असतात. यंगस्टर्स आर ऑलवेज द टेकर्स. ओके, सो दे टेक, and then the parents also give the gift of life to the children, and we give it forth to our children. So we are supposed to, जसं पाणी असतं ते पाणी वरच्या लेवल पासून खालच्या लेवल कडे जातं, तसंच the flow of love has to flow from top to the bottom. And ha flow, this flow, it is disrupted. When is it disrupted? It is disrupted when purposely someone is excluded from the family, or when there is a difficult fate and the people are not ready to accept the fate. जेव्हा हे जे प्रेम आहे, हे जे लव आहे, जे वरच्या जनरेशन्स पासून खालच्या जनरेशन्स कडे फ्लो होत असतं, त्याच्यामध्ये अडथळे अडचणी येतात. कधी येतात अडथळे किंवा अडचणी? काही गोष्टी आहेत, पण मुख्य गोष्टी अशा आहेत की जेव्हा एखाद्या व्यक्तीला मुद्दामून बाजूला केले जातं. ब्लॅक शीप ऑफ द फॅमिली. ब्लॅक शीप ऑफ द फॅमिली म्हणजे जो नाक कटात आहे फॅमिली का. ओके, वी नेवर टॉक टू देम, वी नेवर mention them, they are just left. Each of us must be having chachas or some relatives who have been the black sheep of the family. Does anyone want to talk about them? Does anyone want to remember them? No, they're all forgotten so sadly. But every soul has the right to belong. And when we don't remember them, when we forget them, when we hide them, we hide secrets, right? So hiding secrets is also the disruption in the flow of love. म्हणजे जेव्हा आपण काही गोष्टी लपवतो फॅमिलीमध्ये काय झाल्या आहेत त्या, तेव्हा पण आपण त्या व्यक्तींना नाकारत असतो आपल्या फॅमिलीमध्ये स्थान देण्यापासून. आणि ते जेव्हा आपण त्यांना नाकारतो तेव्हा त्या प्रत्येक नाकारलेल्या व्यक्ती किंवा घटनेचं पुढच्या जनरेशन्स मध्ये रिप्रेझेंटेशन होतं. सो द बेसिक लॉ इज एव्हरीथिंग दॅट इज एक्सक्लुडेड विल बी इन्क्लुडेड. जे काही तुम्ही विसरून जायचा प्रयत्न कराल ते सगळं काही परत परत जनरेशन्स मध्ये येणार आहे, पुढच्या जनरेशन्स मध्ये येणार आहे. कधी कधी 3 जनरेशन्स पुढे येतं, कधी कधी 7 जनरेशन्स पुढे पण येतात. जनरली खूप स्ट्रॉंग जे इफेक्ट्स असतात ते 7 जनरेशन्स पर्यंत असतात. जनरली द व्हेरी स्ट्रॉंग इफेक्ट्स ऑफ व्हॉट हॅज हॅपन्ड इन अ फॅमिली आर विटनेस्ड 3 generations back or 7 generations back. Those incidences can show up in the current generation. Okay, so sometimes we have to work on generations and generations to find the root cause of some issue. So हे जे आपण अडथळे आणतो या फ्लो मध्ये, या लव्हच्या फ्लो मध्ये, these disruptions, what are these disruptions? Very important when somebody is purposely excluded from the family. Okay, how much ever weak, how much ever handicapped, how much ever kam naseeb wala, how much ever bad the person has been or the person has done, we try to forget them or we don't want to look at it actually. Or when there are miscarriages, when there are unnatural deaths in a family, we don't want to talk about it, we don't want to mention it, we don't want to even think about it. का? कारण आपल्याला त्याचा त्रास होत असतो. आणि जेव्हा आपण कुणाच्या तरी नशिबाला स्वीकार करत नाही तेव्हा we are excluding them from the family. Very important. And when we exclude them from the family, some other generation will represent them. So what do we need to do? That I will go to the last portion of the session. की आपल्याला हे सगळं जाणून करायचंय काय? फॅमिली कॉन्स्टलेशन तर प्रॅक्टिकल करायची गोष्ट आहे, पण हे सगळं जाणून करायचं काय आहे? सो वी आर गोइंग टू कम टू दॅट बिकॉज दॅट्स द मोस्ट इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट ऑफ दिस टुडेज सेशन. सो व्हॉट हॅपन्स, हे जे प्रेम आहे ह्याचा फ्लो जेव्हा जात नाही नीट, तो कशामुळे जात नाही? इट इज बिकॉज वेन देर आर अर्ली डेथ्स ऑफ आयदर द चाइल्ड or the parent, if there are mishaps, if there is judgment, आपण कुणाला तरी खाली लेखतो, कमी लेखतो, if there is injustice that happens, if there is black sheep of the family, any reason due to which आपण एखाद्या व्यक्तीला बिलकुल लक्षात ठेवत नाही किंवा लपून ठेवतो, there is secrets of the family, अशा वेळेस there is going to be a problem. The flow of love is not there. And wherever there is flow of love not being there, then there is going to be less flow of life. That is, पुढच्या जनरेशन्सला पूर्णपणे आनंदाने जगायला मुश्किल होऊन जातं आणि त्यांना समजतच नाही की हे काय होतंय, व्हॉट्स हॅपनिंग, आय एम डुइंग हार्ड वर्क, आय एम ट्राइंग माय बेस्ट, आय एम गेटिंग द अपॉर्च्युनिटीज, बट सक्सेस इज नॉट कमिंग टू मी. वाय? बिकॉज अननोइंगली आपण लॉयल असतो त्या ब्लॅक शीप ऑफ द फॅमिलीशी. And when we are unknowingly loyal to the black sheep of the family, at that time हम वैसे ही नसीब लाते हैं. Yeah, if not just like that, if not a replica of what happened in that person's life, what happens is we can simply get it in the form of maybe an allergy or maybe some disease in the body, or maybe suicidal thoughts. If there's a person who's dead and we're not looking at the person, there could be suicidal thoughts that the other person could have. So these are the repercussions of what has happened in the previous generations. So our roots are very important. And who are the first persons of this root? The mother and the father. So there's just one mother and daughter pair sitting here. So the mother and the father is very, very important because the mother is our introduction to love in this lifetime. She's our first experience of love. And then when we go out of that first experience of love and when we fall in love for the first time, that is also a very, very precious thing, because then we are going out of the energy field of the mother and experiencing that passionate love again for the first time. So if there is a past lover, that is very important, and mother and father is very important. Bert Hellinger, ज्यांनी ह्याचा आविष्कार केला, ज्यांनी जगाला गिफ्ट दिला फॅमिली कॉन्स्टलेशनचा, त्यांचं एक वाक्य त्यांनी म्हटलेलं आहे की नो मदर नो स्पाउस. डू यू अंडरस्टँड द पॉवर ऑफ दिस सेंटेन्स? जर आई नसली तर स्पाउसच नसतं. म्हणजे इफ यू आर नॉट लुकिंग ॲट युअर मदर विथ टोटल ॲक्सेप्टन्स अँड विथ टोटल सरेंडर, there is going to be issues in your lifetime with your partner, with your relationship. So it's very important to surrender to the first love that we get on this mother earth and in this body. So now what happens जेव्हा families मध्ये काही गोष्टी अशा घडतात की ज्याच्याबद्दल बोलायचं नसतं, किंवा ज्यांच्याकडे बघायचंच नसतं, किंवा ज्यांना आपण विसरून जातो. मिसकॅरेज, इट इज सच अ स्मॉल थिंग फॉर अस ॲट दॅट टाइम. लेटर ऑन इट कुड ब्रिंग गिल्ट इन अस, और ऍक्च्युअली इट्स ऑलवेज, वी ऑलवेज कॅरी दॅट गिल्ट इन अस. ओके, बट what happens is that we forget all about it. And when we forget all about it, आपण त्या सोलला एक्सक्लूड करतो जो सोल आपल्याकडे येणार असतो, but who has never taken birth in our family. So we have to acknowledge that. So I have to say that I've got 3 children, not 2. Or if someone has more miscarriages, the person has to acknowledge those. So acknowledgement आणि ऍक्सेप्टन्स या 2 खूप महत्वाच्या गोष्टी आहेत की मला दिसतंय तू या सफरिंग मधनं जातो आहेस, किंवा मला दिसतंय की तुला त्रास होतोय. हे जेव्हा आपण म्हणतो, किंवा when we accept that is, or we acknowledge what is happening to the other person, that is when we are free of that burden. First of all, जर आपण त्याच्याकडे बघितलं नाही ना, तर इट्स लाईक पुटिंग अ कार्पेट ऑन समथिंग. इट्स लाईक अ वुंड विच इज नॉट ॲड्रेस्ड ॲट ऑल. सो वेन वी एक्नॉलेज, वेन वी ऍक्सेप्ट जे काही झालेलं आहे त्या व्यक्तीला, त्याच्या नशिबाला, दॅट इज वेन वी विल बी एबल टू कम आउट ऑफ द बर्डन ऑफ that person's fate. For example, आपण साधी छोटी गोष्ट बघितलेली असेल की एखाद्या व्यक्तीचे वडील जर सक्सेसफुल नाहीयेत, तर त्या व्यक्तीला पण सक्सेस मिळण्यासाठी त्रास होतो. किंवा आपण खूपदा असं बघितलेलं आहे की ज्या करिअरच्या लेवलला किंवा अबंडन्सच्या लेवलला आई वडील आहेत, त्याच अबंडन्सच्या लेवलला मुलं पण असतात. They don't dare to be richer than them. They don't dare to be happier than them. They don't dare to be more joyful than them. म्हणजेच काय? म्हणजेच आपण एक गोष्ट नेहमी करत असतो आणि आपल्याला माहित नसतं काय करत असतो आपण. And that thing is we have loyalty in us. ही लॉयल्टी म्हणजे ही अनस्पोकन लॉयल्टी असते. आपण काही म्हणत नाही की फादर आय एम लॉयल टू यू अँड सो आय एम गोइंग टू बी ॲज रिच एज यू, or आय एम गोइंग टू बी ॲज हॅपी एज यू इन अ रिलेशनशिप. वी डोंट से इट, बट व्हॉट डू वी डू? Unknowingly we go to only that level. If the parents are not happy with their relationship, interrelationship, then we also try to not be happy. Or if there is a sister or a brother, a sibling who is not joyful in their life, we don't dare to be more joyful. आपल्याला गिल्ट वाटतं की how can I be more happy than my brother, or how can I be more happy than my mother or father, or how can I be more rich than my parents, or how can I be more successful than my siblings? How can I be? So this is a loyalty, an unspoken loyalty that we are carrying all the time. So see, आपले 3 लेवलचे कॉन्शियस असतं. एक आपण आपल्याला जे इंडिव्हिज्युअली वाटत असतं काय बरोबर आहे काय चुकीचं आहे. एक दुसरं आपल्या फॅमिलीला जे वाटत असतं की काय बरोबर आहे काय चुकीचं आहे. फॉर एक्झाम्पल आमच्या फॅमिलीमध्ये लव्ह मॅरेजेस नाही करत, किंवा आमच्या फॅमिलीमध्ये स्त्रिया असं करतात, मोठ्याने नाही बोलत, हसत नाही, वागडत नाही. ओके, सो दिस इज राईट अँड रॉंग, हे फॅमिलीमध्ये आपल्याला शिकवतात. किंवा कधी कधी द नेशन, देर इज अ नेशन कॉन्शियसनेस ऑल्सो. फॉर एक्झाम्पल पाकिस्तानी फुली मारली त्या पाकिस्तानीवरती विदाउट इवन नोईंग व्हॉट इज द हार्ट ऑफ दॅट पर्सन. सो वी आर लॉयल टू इवन द नेशन्स, we are loyal to families, and we are loyal to what our own conscience is trying to tell us. That is how a mob mentality works. एका मॉब मध्ये आपण आहोत आणि दगड मारून कोणतरी फेकतंय, तर इझिली एका जणांनी 2 जणांनी ते केलं की 100 जण ते करतात. कसं काय? द मॉब मेंटॅलिटी इज इन दॅट ग्रुप, यू सडनली बिकम लॉयल टू दॅट ग्रुप. द एनर्जी ऑफ द ग्रुप इज नथिंग बट being loyal and doing the same action, even if individually I wouldn't have done that action. एका गर्दीमध्ये आपण आहोत आणि त्या गर्दीमध्ये काय होऊ शकतं, एका जणांनी, दुसऱ्या जणांनी, तिसऱ्या जणांनी जर दगड मारला तर 100 जण उचलून दगड मारतात. इंडिव्हिज्युअली त्यांनी कोणीच तो दगड मारला नसता किंवा त्यांनी कोणीच ती कृती केली नसती, पण जेव्हा ते त्या ग्रुपमध्ये येतात तेव्हा ते करतात. कसं काय? कारण दे बिकम लॉयल टू दॅट ग्रुप एनर्जी. सो पॉवरफुल द ग्रुप एनर्जी इज. कॅन यू सी दिस? And then what happens is we become the perpetrator. तर 2 गोष्टी असतात. जेव्हा आपल्या घरच्या किंवा आपल्या जवळच्या कुठल्या लोकांशी अशी घटना घडते ज्याच्याबद्दल जी त्याला दुःख देते, ज्याला त्रास देते, तेव्हा आपण एकतर ते ऍक्सेप्ट करतो, एकतर ते बघतो, किंवा आपण त्याला पूर्णपणे नाकारतो. आय वोंट कॅरी दिस, इट्स डिफिकल्ट. किंवा आपण पण परत तेच करू लागतो. For example, a parent who speaks lies, it's very easy that the child will speak lies, not because the child is seeing, not because the child is only replicating the parent. Okay, that's a very simple reason for it, or that's a very in the depth of it, if you go inside it, the child is simply becoming loyal to that parent and doing the same thing what the parent is doing. ओके, तर फॅमिलीज मध्ये जे काही घडत असतं किंवा नेशन्स मध्ये जे काही घडत असतं, ग्रुप्स मध्ये जे काही घडत असतं, ते सगळं त्या एनर्जीच्या मुळे घडत असतं, नॉट जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ द इंडिव्हिज्युअल पर्सन्स वे ऑफ डुईंग थिंग्स. आता देर इज समथिंग नोन एज ऑर्डर्स ऑफ लव्ह. या फॅमिलीजच्या प्रेमाच्या ऑर्डर्स असतात. त्या काय असतात? आणि त्या फक्त 5 गोष्टी आहेत. या 5 गोष्टी आपण जर सांभाळल्या तर the flow of love can be very, very smooth. What are those 5 things? What are those 5 orders of love? The first order of love is the right to belong. प्रत्येक व्यक्तीला त्या फॅमिलीच्या मध्ये असण्याचा हक्क असतो. The right to belong. What is the right to belong? That if the person is not seen, for example, a black sheep of the family, a tragedy that has taken place, if it is not seen, if it is not spoken of, then what is going to happen? Then the person is denied to be in the family. तू आमच्या फॅमिली मध्ये नाहीयेस. जेव्हा आपण त्याला बघत नाही तेव्हा unseen message is you don't belong. And when the person is forgotten, ignored, rejected, at that time the love, the flow of love is disrupted. मराठीमध्ये 5 ऑर्डर्स असतात प्रेमाच्या, आणि त्या 5 ऑर्डर्स मी आता सांगते. द फर्स्ट ऑर्डर ऑफ लव्ह इज राईट टू बिलॉंग. प्रत्येक व्यक्तीला एखाद्या फॅमिलीशी बिलॉंग होण्याचा हक्क असतो, आणि जेव्हा त्याच्याशी जे काही घडतंय ते आपण बघत नाही किंवा त्याच्याबद्दल आपण बोलत नाही किंवा त्याला आपण सिक्रेट ठेवतो, ते कितीही वाईट असो, ते कितीही दुष्टपणाचं असो, ते कितीही दुःखदायी असो, बट इफ वी डोंट एक्नॉलेज इट, अशा वेळेस पण त्या व्यक्तीला आपल्या फॅमिलीमध्ये स्थान देत नसतो. सो everyone has a right to belong equally. Okay, याचं बेसिक बेसिस आहे equally. The person has to be equal. एक व्यक्ती खूप हुशार आहे आणि दुसरा त्याचा भाऊ किंवा बहीण अतिशय मठ्ठ आहे, but both of them have the right to belong equally to the family, no matter how the other one is, no matter how different they are. Okay, then the second one is the right to one's own fate. The right to one's own fate म्हणजे काय की माझं जे काही नशीब आहे, I have a right to it and I will be responsible for it आणि मी ते माझ्याजवळ ठेवीन. हे प्रत्येक व्यक्तीने स्वतःला सांगितलं पाहिजे. And when he tells to himself, when he decides that to himself, the other people in the house are excluded from it, in the sense that they will not carry the burden of that other person's fate. For example, if there is a grandfather who is suffered due to cancer, it is his fate. ते त्यांचं नशीब आहे. He need not, and nobody else needs to take it ahead. Nobody else needs to carry it on themselves. Okay, so we need to understand that everyone has a right to have their own fate, and when they have their own fate, when they take up the responsibility of their own fate, that is the time when we will not give it to the others, and we have to tell the others, the next generation, especially the children, that this is not your fate, this is my suffering and I will carry it with me. मी पुढे जेव्हा हे how to use this in practical sense, when I'm going to flow for that, to that, at that time I'm going to do some healing with all these orders. Okay, now the third order is there has to be a balance of give and take. प्रत्येक फॅमिलीमध्ये देण्या घेण्यामध्ये बॅलन्स असायला पाहिजे. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, एक व्यक्ती खूप करते and the other person is only receiving. When that is happening, there is no balance. When a person, one spouse is doing a lot and the other spouse does not take up a responsibility, there is no balance in that relationship. And then when there is no balance, that is when relationships start to break. What happens, when a person is doing more, that person is actually begging for love. That person actually wants a validation, wants love. Basic is love. And everyone does everything for love. Try to decode, whether it's your career or whether it's your, roj ka roti belna, anything that we have been doing, it is for love that we do things. But when there is overdoing of just giving, then the energy of that person depletes. And when the energy depletes, that is when clashes start to happen in a relationship. Then the next order of love is hierarchy. There is a natural flow of hierarchy. Natural flow of hierarchy means first come the parents, then come the children. And the second hierarchy is first comes the elder sibling, then the younger sibling, then the younger sibling. I'll attend to the questions, please wait. So what does that mean? Let me translate this to Marathi. पुढचं ऑर्डर ऑफ लव्ह आहे की एक नॅचरल हायरार्कीचा फ्लो असतो प्रत्येक फॅमिलीमध्ये. दोन प्रकारचा. पहिला आहे की आई वडील मोठे असतात आणि मुलं छोटे असतात. आणि दुसरा हायरार्की असतं की मोठी बहीण किंवा भाऊ त्याच्यापेक्षा धाकटा यांचा पण एक सिक्वेन्स असतो. द बिग have to be given their place and the small have to take their own place, and everyone needs to be there. Now if there is an abortion in between, we never acknowledge, we never say that yes, this is the third child and you are the fourth child. मुलांना माहित नसतं, आपल्याला आपण पण विसरून जातो, right? So here especially the hierarchy has to be maintained. Parents मध्ये hierarchy कशी आपण तोडतो? When the children try to become the parents of the parents. I'll teach my mother. I'll, when they try to become the parents of the parents, when they become the givers to the parents, that is when the hierarchy is broken. That is the flow of love can be disrupted. Did I explain this in Marathi or do I have to?
नो इट्स गुड.
नाही सांगितलं ना मराठी?
नाही बोललीस ना तू.
मराठीत
पेरेंट्स
नाही सांगितलं ना?
सांगितलं
बोललीस ना?
पेरेंट्स आणि
बोलले
मुलांचं
ना? Okay.
सिक्वेन्स नाही चुकला पाहिजे. आणि जो कोण जर ऑबर्शन वगैरे असेल तर मग सिक्वेन्स वेगळा आहे, राईट? सो सपोज इफ यू हॅव हॅड फर्स्ट चाइल्ड, सेकंड अबॉर्शन अँड थर्ड चाइल्ड, देन यू हॅव टू टेल द थर्ड चाइल्ड दॅट यू हॅव 2 एल्डर सिबलिंग्स. एक आहे,
Yes.
एक आता नाही आहे, ते सांगायला
Yes.
पाहिजे.
Yes, it should not be kept as a secret.
सिक्रेट. या.
And the last order of love, the fifth order of love is men and women are equal and complementary. My dear friends, this does happen, especially in a country like India. It doesn't happen. There's always a high and a low. Whether it's the male or the female who is the one on, the one who's. They are all equal. स्त्री की असो किंवा पुरुष असो, सगळेजण इक्वल असतात. कोणीच वरचा किंवा खालचा नाही, because the soul has got no sex. The soul is a soul. There is no male or female when it's a soul. So everyone is equal, and that status of equal and being complementary to each other has to be given. प्रत्येक व्यक्तीला इक्वल दर्जा दिला पाहिजे. So, हे 5 orders of love जिथे जिथे नाकारले जातात, तिथे तिथे the flow of love is disrupted, and hence there are issues in the now, in the next generation. कुठेतरी केव्हा तरी issues erupt होतात. आता let me give you an example. Okay, if there is an early death of a child, what happens when there is early death of a child and the child is forgotten? The child is not even thought about. The child could be just 2 months old, or the child could be just 20 days old. The child is forgotten, and when the child is forgotten, we are excluding that child from the family. We don't even tell the next child that तुझा एक लहान भाऊ किंवा बहीण होती. And when we don't tell them की तुझा एक लहान किंवा बहीण होती, at that time when that child is excluded from the family, that will create a trouble. What trouble will it create? Kutetari, somewhere unknowingly, the child who is existing will come to know that I had an elder brother or a sister, or there is something that is missing. They're not consciously samajhna nahi. They will not consciously know that there is a brother or a sister, but they will unknowingly know that there is something missing in my life. Or they will have a pull towards death, or they will feel guilty to live. Can you imagine this? They'll be guilt to न जाणता, बरं का, न जाणता जेव्हा एक मोठा भाऊ किंवा बहीण गेलेली आहे आणि पुढचा भाऊ किंवा बहीण आहे, त्या पुढच्या दुसऱ्या भावाला, मुलाला आई वडील कधीच सांगत नाही की तुझा एक छोटा भाऊ किंवा बहीण होते. आणि मग काय होतं, अननोईंगली त्याला समजतं की कुठेतरी काहीतरी बिनसलेलं आहे, कुठेतरी कोणीतरी मिसिंग आहे, तो कुणाला तरी शोधत राहतो. दॅट पर्सन कॅन हॅव सिम्पल थिंग लाईक मल्टिपल अफेअर्स. That person can do a simple thing like want to represent death. त्याला मृत्यूचा ओढा असू शकतो. May want to commit a suicide, may want to feel very dull, lifeless. So death is what त्यांच्याकडे मृत्यूचा ओढा, मृत्यूकडे त्यांचा ओढा असू शकतो. So this is what happens to the child. जेव्हा एखादं लहान मूल जातं तेव्हा हे त्याच्या भावाला किंवा बहिणीला होतं. पण आईला काय होतं? आईला पण गिल्ट असते. आईचा पण कुठेतरी ओढा मृत्यूकडे असतो. आई पण पूर्णपणे जे आहेत अस्तित्वामध्ये त्यांच्याकडे लक्ष देऊ शकत नाही. Somewhere something is missing in her life, and she forgets that there was a child in my life, and she is somewhat drawn towards death. or she has a guilt which she doesn't understand because she forgets. Dukh bari cheezein, who wants to remember? We don't need to remember and sit and cry, but we need to simply acknowledge and accept. That's it. Okay, so these are just a few examples of what happens when there is a disruption in the energy. Now, first, before I go to the next topic, I want to know if there are questions. I'll prefer that you verbally ask me the questions rather than me having to read. Let me try.
Does pets play important role in family constellation?
Sorry?
Do domestic pets play an important role in family constellation?
Yes,
Pets.
yes, because pets are our energy. They are in the existing family. Not only the pets, even the things that you have kept around you, they play a beautiful role in what is happening in your life. So if there is a tuta futa khatara car standing in front of the gate for 20 years and you have not done anything with it, remove it. It's dead energy.
Yeah. Energy block.
We need to accept it and release it. In anything, acceptance and releasing. आपल्याकडे आपण जेव्हा क्रियाकर्म करतो, when a person passes away, what do we do? 13वें दिन पे हमें मीठा दिया जाता है खाने के लिए. Relatives give us new clothing. Why? Because you need to acknowledge and then move on. Carry on with life. So yes, pets, of course, they play a very important role because they are connected to our energies. They have extremely high energies, sixth sense. So yes, pets also play a very important role and we have to acknowledge them.
Preetham, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Yes, Pritam.
येस येस मॅम गुड आफ्टरनून.
Good afternoon.
मी मराठीमध्येच विचारते कारण
हो,
मग
विचारा.
मला विचारायचं की बऱ्याच वेळेला ते असं पेट्स न जगत नाहीत ठेवलं तरी, आणि नंतर मग जेव्हा असं बघितलं की त्यांनी सांगितलं की नाही तुमच्या घरात पेट्स टिकणारच नाही तर ठेवू नका, बट ते मुलांना हवं असतं, तर त्या केसमध्ये म्हणजे ही कशाशी रिलेटेड आहे?
सी एक्झॅक्ट कारण तर आता मी नाही सांगू शकत, ते तर कॉन्स्टलेशन केल्यावरच समजतं. बट समवेअर द पेट इज रिप्रेझेंटिंग सम डेड एनर्जी ऑफ द हाऊस इफ द पेट इज नॉट रेडी टू स्टे अलाइव्ह, इफ द पेट पासेस अवे ओव्हर अँड ओव्हर अगेन. कुठली तरी डेथची एनर्जी ते कॅरी करत असतं. अँड दे से दॅट द पेट्स टेक ऑन the नसीब of the house, they take on जो बला घर पे आती है वो pets ले लेते हैं. So yes, they take that. So that means what could happen to the further next generations, the humans, the pets are taking that death energy and they are passing over. So we need to see what are they representing. त्याच्यासाठी प्रीतम कॉन्स्टलेशन करूनच आपण करू शकतो.
One more question. How do we understand there is a balance between the whatever responsibilities we are taking, and there is a balance between that relationship? As you mentioned, na, ki spouses take the responsibilities.
Yes.
That
when the energy of one spouse is not getting sapped out.
Come again, ma'am, please.
When the energy of one spouse is not getting sapped out. They both will be joyful if they both are equally contributing. But if only one is the giver, his energy goes low. And that with that low energy, you can understand that you have been a giver all your life. And when you understand it, and when you acknowledge what is happening to you, and when you say no, at that time, you can heal it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sorry, Sonali, can you go?
Sorry?
Sonali, can you go? Can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes. Good afternoon, madam. Madam, my question was, you said that if there is a abortion or if the child, but what if the child has been aborted in the first or the second month only? when life अभी तक उसमें आया नहीं है, before the heartbeat starts, and if due to some accident or maybe some unavoidable circumstances, if abortion takes place within that period when the life has not come into the fetus, then will it also be taken as?
Yes, because the child has already chosen the parent, Sonali. The child has chosen the parent, and even if the soul comes permanently in the body of the fetus when at the time of birth, okay? Other times it's selected the parent, but it's going in and out. So it knows that this is where I'm going to take birth. So yes, you have to acknowledge that first and second month of pregnancy also. Just the other day, I had someone who took pills after 2 months of pregnancy. I told her, see, listen, remember now that you have 2 children, even if that child is not being given birth to. So she said, yes, auntie, I will try to remember that. So acknowledgement. क्या करना है हमें उन्हें acknowledgement देना है. Yes, Sonali.
And I have one more question. Suppose if there is a case where the husband, that means the partner, was not loyal to the lady, and due to that, between them, they departed. They took a divorce, whatever it is. And after some times, the husband realizes that he was wrong, and he wanted to come back, but the wife says now, I mean, she the children have grown up and she doesn't want to now, bring all those things back. So but the wife has pardoned him for everything.
Yeah.
And circumstances are such that, okay, the wife says, chalo, now that person has become old and let me accept him. But before the acceptance, if the husband dies, and does that have a mental blockage to the children or to the wife?
No, mentally she has accepted him, right? And
Yes.
it's not a problem of whether she accepts him when he wants to come back or not. The thing is, see, now this is the family soul, okay? And if person X is having an extramarital affair, at that time there is one more person who is to be seen. आणि आपण त्याच्याकडे बघत नाही. We don't see to that one more person in that extramarital affair. That means the energy is to include that person, but we never will include that person in our family. So there is an exclusion.
Because of social.
That is the first complex. That is the first seeing that you have to do. First, you have to acknowledge that lady with whom he is entangled with. And then you have to further, energetically, now to your question, energetically, if that lady has accepted him, it's okay if he passed away and she could not acknowledge him. Or, take him back, that is. And it's completely her personal choice. She may want to say, no, I don't want you in my life, but I look at you with respect, and that much is also enough, Sonali.
What if that effect happens to the child who was very closely connected to that parent, to that father?
When the child is connected in case of divorces,
and that child felt betrayed because the father that child was connected to the father, and the father betrayed the mother or maybe the daughter, and the daughter is still carrying that in her mind. So in that case, how will you console the daughter that the daughter is still having that in mind?
Yeah. So see, what happens in case of divorced persons or couples is that there is a lot of guilt that the child carries because the child cannot equally love the mother and the father, right? Here, what you are saying, ki, the person who has done wrong, the child actually loves that person. Okay, the child loves the father now in this case, but the child cannot express his or her love. And then the case that you're telling me is the child is feeling extremely hurt because of what the parent has done. Again, that is one more thing, that the child is not accepting what the parent has done. So yes, it's going to trouble. And then in the constellation, what we do, Sonali, is that we ask them to say very simple healing sentences. याच्यामध्ये हिलिंग सेंटेन्सेसचा वापर केला जातो आणि हे हिलिंग सेंटेन्सेस खूप सिंपल असतात. हे आपलं प्रेम त्या व्यक्तीबद्दल दाखवणारे, दर्शवणारे असतात आणि त्या सेंटेन्सेसमुळे हिलिंग होतं. When the person says, now for example, if there is incest, if the father has done something to the daughter and the daughter cannot love that father, so there is double burden on her that the father has done something to her, touched her in an appropriate way, and the second thing is that now she loves that father, so she tolerates all that, but now she cannot love him. So there is a double, it becomes very complex when such a thing happens. Entanglements, these are entanglements. So we need to come out of these entanglements by saying simple sentences like, my dear father, I tolerated this because of the love that I feel for you. So there are simple healing sentences that can be said to release and to heal. Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yes,
Go
Anjana
ahead,
ji.
Anjana. Yeah, unmute yourself, please.
Going on. Can you hear? Can you hear?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. My question was with regards to you, where you gave the example of speaking lies, the loyalty factor. Loyalty factor. So can it happen that the child or the person, okay, because even though the father or the mother or somebody in the family is speaking lie, can the person make up the mind कि मैं कभी झूठ नहीं बोलूंगी life में?
Yeah.
Can it work in the opposite way? That was my question.
Yes.
मला जरा परत सांगते का ग आरती, काय विचारलं?
स्मिता ती विचारते की खोटं बोलणारं घरामध्ये कोणतरी आहे, तर ती मुलं फक्त तू म्हणालीस ना की फक्त इमिटेट नाही करत, तर एनर्जीमध्ये त्यांच्या ब्लॉक्स येते. आणि ती विचारते की असं होऊ शकतं का की घरामध्ये खोटं बोलणारं आहे म्हणून ही व्यक्ती ठरवते की मी आयुष्यात खोटं बोलणार नाही.
हो, असं पण होऊ शकतं.
Absolutely होऊ
A
शकतं.
person whose parent is addicted to alcohol,
Yes.
there'll be two types of children. Okay,
That-
either the child will become completely a drunkard, or the child will say, I will not touch
Achal.
drinks ever.
बिलकुल
So
बिलकुल.
both ways, they can take it both ways. What they need to understand, irrespective of what they do, what they need to understand is that they need to accept the parent as he or she is. Because addiction is a death urge, and then that person is addicted because there's some issue with that person. So they need to just accept the parent as he or she is.
One more question related to what Sonali spoke just now. Okay, like we talked about miscarriage or abortion, but then there are certain circumstances when a person may be forced to do medical termination of pregnancy.
Yeah.
Mother is not well, or mother is not fit to go through the pregnancy. So the same acceptance and acknowledgement has to be done, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Next.
Pets when come into the family, when the pets come into the family, can be taken, the child lost to the mother?
I did not hear the last part. Your voice is not audible.
Okay, I don't know, there is some problem with my earphone, No, I mean, when the pets come into the family, so pets केव्हा येतात, dogs म्हणा, cats म्हणा, can you see that the child, if the mother has lost maybe due to MTP or a miscarriage, ते येतात का परत?
ते येतात नाही नाही, not necessarily.
Not necessary. Okay.
See, when we take birth, it is we go higher and higher. So it is first that we take the birth in a mineral form, then the plant kingdom, then the animal kingdom, and then the human kingdom. So generally we go, up.
Evolve.
आणि जे आपण गोष्टीत सांगितलेलं ऐकलेलं असतं की बेडकाचा जन्म मिळेल and all that, I don't think all that happens. You evolve, you go to higher planes. You will not go back to class number 1 from SSC.
Right. Disha?
Thank you.
Disha, go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Disha.
Good evening, ma'am. Two
Good
things.
evening.
One, if what should a wife do when she's aware of that husband is not having a good cordial relationship with a mother? So this has happened somewhere related to both sides of family of mine, and I have seen this person. I mean, especially the males of the family are not having a cordial relationship with the mother. And now, what a wife can be, I mean, doing in this part, because husband cannot be taught to, respect a mother based on their own reality or maybe their own consequences. They have their factual reasons not to respect because of so and so things they have done. What can a wife do on their behalf?
It is his journey.
It is his journey. It is his job.
It's
It is his responsibility.
it is this
Simple.
right to one's
Because
Right,
of that,
right
wife is
to
being
one's
suffered.
own
Then
fate. Yeah, the second point, right to one's own fate.
See, whatever reasons he has, okay, but every mother feels that तुझसे नाराज नहीं जिंदगी हैरान हूँ मैं, and she works on that basis. So all the mistakes that I feel that a parent might have made in case of the children are because of तुझसे नाराज नहीं जिंदगी हैरान हूँ मैं. So the husbands need to come to terms and surrender to the mother. That is the last point that I'm going to discuss today.
also with my mother, I always feel like I have to parent her, like teach her this thing, teach her that thing. आज भी मतलब almost ये करना है वो करना है. So is it right way of me encouraging my mother to learn something, or am I becoming a parent to my parent?
So you have to leave it at that. You don't have to feel superior then.
It's not about being superior. It's about I want
Then
to
perfect.
make her learn.
Then perfect. Anandi is teaching mom. My children are teaching me. Okay. My son asked me, spirituality is not a mask, no. And so children are always teaching us, but they don't need to feel superior. That is very, very important. I am the mother and you are the child. That status. Not even friend, na? I'm going to come to that friend wala thing. And
Yeah.
when there is a single parent, काय होतं माहितीये, or when there is a parent that has passed away, काय होतं माहितीये, that lost parent किंवा that divorced parent ची जागा एक मूल घेतं. And then when that happens, that is when there is disruption of love, because that child's feeling of belonging will go. That child's and that child will come, he will become husband or wife to that one parent with whom that he or she is. I'm going to repeat this again, once in English and once in Marathi, because this is very, very important. What happens when there is an early death of a parent or there is a separation? It so happens that the child takes the part of that parent who is not there. And when that child takes a part, means what does the child do? The child actually becomes a husband or a wife to the parent with whom he is there. And then the child's sense of belonging is lost, the child's innocence is lost, and the child is playing the role of the spouse, right? Means he's become the husband, for example, of the mother. Then it's very difficult for him to move out of that energy zone and move on with his life. So children are never your friends. How much ever friendly you can be, but they are your children. You are small and I am big. Maintain that. Or I'm small and you are big. Maintain that. Did I answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. I was having this relationship with my mother before my marriage. She is the only friend I have, and with her also it was like my daughter is the only friend. And I guess you were there in my family constellation and how I was taking care the whole role of my mother. I guess you were there at Swati ma'am's place.
Yeah, when we did the FC, we did the FC on Disha, Smita, at Swati Pandit's place. You were present at that time.
Once I was there, yeah.
Once you were there, yeah. So that was Disha. Okay, Pritesh, you
And
go
you-
ahead.
Yeah. Hello, ma'am. So,
Yeah.
ma'am, I wanted to ask that if somebody has passed away in the family, and I mean that person might have some desires left in life. So, is it possible that it gets manifested in the next generation, and the child who is born in that family now will, now will live a life and fulfill the desires of the one who has been deceased?
No, it can happen if the child is actually taking the burden of that person, but each person's जो इच्छाएं होती है, the wish that the person has, that person will have to take another life, will have to come in another body and fulfill his or her own desire.
I mean the person died, and after many years a child was born in the family. So is it possible that the same soul has come and now he will fulfill the desires?
That can be possible, that the same the same soul can choose the same family. That can be possible.
Okay.
Yes.
So can this, I mean, how to identify, like, whether whether someone has come from the past, or you are an individual just got in the energy of jo ja chuka hai family mein?
You will know. You will know it from the traits that they have. Like I have one of my nieces. She the way my uncle used to read the newspaper or look at cricket, even when she was a small baby, she would take the newspaper and sit down there, or she would watch the cricket matches. So you come to know from the traits of that person that sometimes, yes, the person comes into the same family, chooses the same family. That is.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Savita,
Ma'am, there is a question.
Yes.
One second.
Savita, you can ask your question.
Said, ma'am, there is a question.
Savita, unmute yourself.
हॅलो.
हा, बोला.
माझ्या मुलाच्या घरी एक पेट आहे, पण तो जन्म झाल्यानंतर पहिल्यांदा काही महिने मी त्याला सांभाळलं, पण आता मी त्याला सांभाळू शकत नाही. तर आय नो दॅट पेट्सना भावना असतात आणि त्यांना एनर्जीज कळतात. व्हेनेवर ही फील्स लाईक सेंडिंग द पेट ओव्हर हिअर, आय टेल हिम नो, कारण मला त्याच्यापासून त्रास होतो, मला शारीरिक काही करता येत नाही त्याचं म्हणून. पण मग त्याच्या एनर्जीज माझ्या घरी वर्क होतात का? बिकॉज ही वॉज विथ मी फॉर 2-3 months when he was born.
See, if you have left the pet without any guilt, because your priorities are your health, your well-being, and if you've left the pet and you're not taking of the pet due to other reasons, and you have acceptance of what is, then the energies will not trouble you. Tras keva hoto, when do these energies trouble us? They trouble us when we carry guilt, when we feel that what I'm doing is not a right thing. That is when I will be troubled by it. It is not that the pet is going to give you some sharp jala mantat. That's not going to happen. It's your own guilt.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's
Yes,
okay if there is a practical reason. Rutul, can you ask your question? Go ahead. We will just take 1 or 2 questions more, okay?
Yes,
Because we need to learn more. Then doubts can be cleared later on the groups also. Yeah, but we need to learn what Smita has to say. Yeah.
Okay. So am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Very less.
Ma'am, the quick question. So the family that I come from, it's a very heavily patriarchal mindset from where I come. Of course, it's the same all over in India. And so the similar pattern is there in my in-laws also. And so even when I try to explain my father or my family, whatever is happening in my in-laws, as you said, the unequal treatment is not acceptable by me. But my father has to say, no, this is how it is, and this is how it's going to be. It is creating a lot of imbalance in my generation. It didn't create an imbalance in maybe my parents' generation, because that's how it was. So I want a little clarification on this. I know it's a huge topic, but if you have to say something on this.
So most important is you have to come to terms with the family, the previous family, your parents' family, as they are. When you come to acceptance to them and you accept them as they are, there could be a change in your current family. Okay, and then a person can always be revolutionary and stand for oneself. So yes, that can also be done. Earlier the women were not educated, and then it was only when there was revolution that happened that things started changing. So revolutions have to happen for evolution to happen.
Me. Okay.
So
All
yes,
right.
you can stand for yourself. You can check. I mean, we need to do more work to really answer
Yeah,
this.
I think Rutul, what Smita is insisting is, if you cannot accept your parents' family, then how will you accept your in-laws' family? And what she is saying is, if you accept your parents' family, automatically there will be energetic changes in your in-laws' family. So try doing that. So the
maybe
correction
accept
is,
and forgive.
yes.
Accept
So
and
the,
forgive.
yeah. So the acceptance, you have to do it with your parents. You accept them and things will change over here. तो कहाँ रूट है वहां पे ट्रीटमेंट होगा. अमी, लास्ट क्वेश्चन. Friends, I'm very
Yeah,
sorry. I want Smita to share her insights with us. Okay, Ami, last question, quick.
yeah. So my question is, if a person dies, a person lives very fulfilled life, and he dies with all the wishes fulfilled and all the relationship cordial, then the chances of rebirth is not there.
See, this is a very different question, and it has got to do all about mukti realization and reaching and becoming an infinite soul. So it's the journey of the soul. When all the lessons are learned, a person may not want to take birth again. Like examples are Mother Teresa, Gandhi ji. These are souls who, and we have to reach to that level to really not take birth again. Amen.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Smita,
So, shall
Smita,
I?
Smita, before you carry on, I just want to add just one little thing, but it's very important. And
Yes.
that is, many people in our groups are losing their near and dear ones. हा,
That's
जवळची माणसं आपल्याला सोडून जात आहेत.
oh.
अगेन हा जो दुसरा मुद्दा आहे, राईट टू वन्स ओन फेट, त्यांचा तो चॉईस आहे आणि त्या चॉईसला आपण रिस्पेक्ट द्यायला हवा. दुःख आहे, आयुष्यभराचं दुःख आहे, पण त्यांच्या लाईफचं त्यांनी जो काही चॉईसेस केलेले आहेत, कुठे कसं कधी जायचं, हा त्यांचा चॉईस आहे. तो स्वीकार आपण आणल्याशिवाय आपण सुखी होऊ शकणार नाही. ओके, त्या दुःखामध्ये आपण मतलब वी विल गो डीप इन द दॅट. अँड नॉट ओनली दॅट, आपल्यामुळे जे जिवंत आहेत आपल्या आजूबाजूला त्यांच्यावरही वाईट परिणाम होतो. इट इज युअर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू बी बॅलन्स्ड, अँड इट इज युअर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू ब्रिंग दॅट बॅलन्स्ड एनर्जी इन टू युअर हाऊस. Just because I know many of us here have lost their near and dear ones. Yes, Smita, please go ahead. Yeah.
My whole idea why I suggested to you this topic was, Aarti, that because of the situation, खूप
Right.
लोकांचे प्रियजन जात आहेत, and that
Right.
is the whole intention of having this. So guided session मध्ये मी त्याच्यासाठी घेणार आहे.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So let me quickly now go to the utilization of these laws of family constellation. Okay, the first is accept. हे रोजच्या जीवनामध्ये तुम्ही कसं काय वापराल हे पॉइंट्स पण मी तुम्हाला मेसेज करून पाठवीन. बट लेट मी टेक अ क्विक 5 minutes thing because I want to take a 10 minutes guided session also. So first point is accept everything as it is. The second point is do not judge, go to the truth. वरती आपण पुस्तकाचं कव्हर बघून आपल्याला वाटतं की हे ह्याच्यामध्ये काय असेल किंवा आपण जज करतो ह्याच्यामध्ये काय असेल, बट डीप इनसाइड द ट्रूथ कुड बी समथिंग व्हेरी व्हेरी डिफरंट. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, एखादी व्यक्ती चिडचिड करते, त्या चिडचिडच्या आतमध्ये खूप काहीतरी त्या व्यक्तीशी घडलेलं असतं. So let's go to the truth and not be judgmental. The third is we have to have a deep respect for the victim and the perpetrator. ह्याच्याबद्दल मला थोडं जास्त बोलायचं आहे. I want to speak a little more about this. What happens when there is a victim and a perpetrator is that the victim is not looked at because the victim has gone through a very tragic fate, and then the perpetrator is also excluded. म्हणजे आपण काय करतो माहितीये, जेव्हा एखादी व्यक्ती विक्टिम असते आणि एखादी व्यक्ती त्याच्यावर जुल्म करणारी असते, तेव्हा आपण त्या विक्टिमचं जे दुःख आहे, त्रास आहे, त्याला जे काय, इट कुड बी अ रेप, इट कुड बी एनिथिंग, could even be a murder, then we do not look at that, we are not ready to accept what has happened to the victim. आणि ह्याच्याने आपण victim आणि perpetrator दोघांना पण डिलीट करत असतो. वी एक्सक्लूड देम, आपण त्यांना एक्सक्लूड करतो आपल्या फॅमिलीमधनं. तर आपल्याला कितीही वाईट एखादी व्यक्ती असो आणि तिने काहीही वाईट केलेलं असेल तरी त्यावेळेला काहीतरी घडलेलं असतं आणि त्याच्यामुळे ती व्यक्ती तशी वागत असते. देयर इज अ लॉट मोर टू द परपेट्रेटर देन दॅट वन ऍक्ट what the perpetrator has done. So we need to look at that. We don't need to close our eyes. This is for example, this is a rapist or this is a murderer. We cannot refute them. Even the person who is murdered and the person who is the murderer, both of them have to be looked at with respect. Can you beat this? But it's important. We need to do this. Then the next one is that we have to accept the miscarried and the early deaths as our own. Okay, then two things: hierarchy of mother and father, that mother and father are big and we are small, has to be acknowledged and kept in our hearts. And the second is hierarchy of the siblings. You are the elder one, I am the younger one. This has to be maintained because love flows from top to bottom. So for that love to flow, we have to keep that hierarchy. Then the next one is we have to accept what the elders give us with grace, because always the elders are the givers and the youngsters are the takers. Yeah. So we have to accept with grace. No, accept with grace what your parents are giving to you. And the next is your children are not your children. Remember that. This is very important. This is very important because we can be friendly, but we cannot be their friend. When we become their friend, at that time we do emotional incest to that child. Remember that. तुमचे मुलं तुमचे मित्र मैत्रीण नसतात, ते तुमचे दोस्त नसतात. They are your children. So keep them as your children, even if you're friendly to them. Okay. And then let the elders carry their own burdens. मी हे सगळं ना एक छोटा मेसेज करून पाठवीन कारण हे खूप महत्वाचे पॉइंट्स आहेत. let the elders carry their own burdens. त्यांचे जे काही बर्डन्स आहेत मोठ्यांचे ते त्यांना कॅरी करू देत. त्यांनी काहीतरी वाईट केलं असेल किंवा त्यांच्या बरोबर काहीतरी वाईट झालं असेल तर they will carry their burdens. The child does not have to carry the burden of the parent. Remember that. Then one more thing about victim and perpetrator I need to say is that the victim feels superior and the perpetrator feels inferior. म्हणजेच काय, equal. Again, they are not looked at as with equality. So we and then you know what the victim does? The victim loves to be superior. So the victim will invite more and more people to do more and more wrong things to him or her in order to feel superior all the time. So if you are in a victim state, hello, come down. Release that victim state because it simply makes you feel superior. And then the most important of it all, if you forget everything else and you remember this one sentence, aaj ka din acha gaya, and that one sentence is that surrender to your mother, because your mother is the origin of love. Your first relationship in this world is with your mother. Energetically you are connected to your mother. For 2 to 3 months, children generally don't remember what happened to them. Why? You know, because it is the mother's brain parts that they are using. They're connected even for 3, 4 to 6 months with the mother. So we need to surrender completely to the mother, which is most important. Now, shall we quickly go to a guided session? How much time do we have? 10 minutes.
It's okay. You take your time, Smita. We will extend it for 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
No problem. But let us have a nice guided meditation.
Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am, this meditation is for a specific reason or
it doesn't matter. It's
just
okay.
chill.
Don't question the meditation. Just
Okay,
follow
okay.
whatever you are being guided into. Allow it to happen.
I just want you to be with zero expectations and just be with the flow. Okay? So close your eyes, my dear friends. Close your eyes and make yourself very comfortable. Take 3 long breaths. With every breath, you are going just a little deeper. And with every breath, you're getting more and more relaxed. And relax more and more, my dear friends. More and more. And you're going deeper and deeper. You're getting more and more relaxed. I now want you to bring in front of yourself a person whom you have lost, maybe recently, maybe in the past. Any person that comes to your mind. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. तुम्हाला डोळ्यासमोर एक अशी व्यक्ती आणायची आहे की जी इतक्यात किंवा काही वर्षांपूर्वी गेलेली आहे सोडून. And I want you now at this moment to express to this person who has passed away, whom you can now see in front of your eyes. I want you to express whatever you wish to this person. जे काही तुम्हाला सांगायचं राहिलेलं आहे या व्यक्तीला किंवा जे काही तुम्हाला म्हणावंसं वाटतंय या व्यक्तीला ते आता सांगायचं आहे. Express yourself. Say whatever you wish to. Allow whatever is happening. And tell the person how much you miss the person. tell the person how much the person meant to you. Just flow with what is happening. Feel whatever you are feeling. It's okay to feel what you are feeling. It's okay to express yourself. Ask the person who is in front of you whether he or she has a message for you. The message can come to you in the form of a word, a thought, or a picture. If you do not understand the message that the person, the soul wants to give to you, ask what it means. And now, I want you to say to this person, this soul, that my dear, it is sad that you are not with us. And I truly, truly miss you. My dear, I shall always keep you in my heart. I shall always love you. But my dear, I leave your fate to you. I leave your burdens to you. And all I take from you is love. My dear, we shall meet when the time comes. And not a minute before. And now I want you to pray to the soul that, my dear, in your honor, I shall live life to the fullest. Now, I want you to imagine in front of you an aborted child, if there has been one, or a pet that has passed away. I want you to say to that soul, thank you for choosing me, my dear child. can say to the aborted child that, my dear child, you will always remain my child. I shall always keep you in my heart. Bless your brothers and sisters to live a joyful life. Bless your mothers, brothers and sisters to move ahead in life with joy. Smile upon them, and you shall always remain my child. If it is a first or a second or a third abortion, specify the number. You should always remain my first or my second or my third or fourth child. And now, I want you to imagine that you are standing and behind you is your mother and your father. Your father keeping his hand on your right shoulder. Your mother keeping her hand on your left shoulder. Behind your mother is her parents, holding on to her shoulders, supporting her. Behind your father is his parents, supporting him on the shoulder. Behind your grandparents are your great-grandparents. Behind the great-grandparents is their parents. And their parents, till there is a row of parents and parents and parents who are there behind you. And behind these parents and grandparents and great-grandparents and so on, behind all these generations is the source, the light from where we have come. And this beautiful light is flowing through the generations to the next generation and the next and the next and the next. This love and light is flowing through your great-grandparents to your parents and to you. And next to you is your spouse. And behind him is his parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. And the light is flowing through these generations to your spouse also. And as the light flows through the generations to your spouse, in front of you stand your children. And this light is flowing through you and your spouse to your children. Want you to say to your children now that, my dear children, you are the children and we are the parents. And we bless you to move ahead in life with joy. And my dear parents, my dear children, our burden is ours to carry. And you need not bother about our fate, our burdens. We will carry them. And now I want you to turn behind and I want you to see your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, and generations standing behind you, and the light, the source from where they have come. I want you to bow down to your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents and the generations who have maybe suffered, maybe struggled, maybe done hard work. And I want you to say to each one of them that I leave your fate to you. I leave your burdens to you. And all I take from you is love. Bless me if I am more successful, more joyful, more peaceful than you. I want you to thank all the generations and the source. Thank your children for choosing you. And I want you to slowly come back here when you feel complete. One, two, and three. Open your eyes. When you feel complete, take your own time. My friends, so I hope that was useful to you.
That was amazing. It was absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
To see rows and rows of your generations blessing you and the light coming through, it was so wonderful. Yes, amazing. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for listening to me, all of you.
Yes. Does anyone have to say something to Smita? Yes, Ami, it was wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you so much, madam. It was wonderful.
Wonderful session,
Thank
Smita.
you.
We enjoyed it.
Many
And the
Thanks for
doubts
calling
you
me
meditation.
have
Smita.
cleared.
I
Many
I
doubts have been cleared.
Thank
Many
you.
doubts have been cleared. I still feel, we could probably do one more session. I'm being a little greedy here. And maybe sometimes, Smita, if you agree and if you feel, we could
Okay,
have
whenever.
part two of Family Constellation. We could go deeper. And
Yeah.
friends, keep sharing your experiences and your questions on the group. Smita is there on the spiritual study group, and the Samatva group. I will share it over there also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
And thank you all for being here with us. And
Padmaja
this
was
has
saying
been,
something.
yes, Padmaja,
Smita,
you're saying?
Smita, am I audible to you?
Yes, you are.
Okay. It was wonderful going with you into this session, and I would really love to go more deeper and understand so many things. It unfolded so many mysteries in myself for me,
Wonderful.
and maybe I would be more
Joyful.
joyful, no, what, I don't know the word actually.
She's saying dil mange more, right?
दिल नहीं मांगता है more, मैं मांग रही हूँ more. I'm wanting it more. दिल तो
Yes.
वैसे ही है जैसा है, but
Sure, sure.
बहुत सारी knots खुल रही है. I am feeling a bit unknotted. That is
Wonderful. That's so
knots बहुत
wonderful.
सारी खुल रही है, तो कुछ और अच्छे से खुल जाए और समझ भी जाए उनका खुलना, तो
जरूर हम कुछ करेंगे. We'll do something.
you were of immense help, Smita, and thank you so much. I fold my hands with gratitude for this question.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Smita, for being with us. Thank
Somebody
you so
wants
much.
to say something.
It was a
Thank
wonderful
you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was
Thank you
wonderful.
so much.
Thank you, Smita ma'am.
Thank you, Adya ma'am, for
Thank you,
arranging
thank
this.
you.